a Hedge night.
Hey, who's come?
Can't you see the banner? You don't come.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Will you heed my call? Will you heed my call? Will you heed?
We're still rolling.
Will you heed my call to war?
Will you heed my call to
Bring your shield when the pump's over.
You dirty bastard.
I beg your pardon, Sir Lionel?
Big men. Get fuck. I feel like I'm shouting. I'm sorry.
Alys was a special lass, born bereft of them. She had a shitty fight. One more.
The man is dying, my lord.
It like the gross out when you see it, and you're just smelling for information.
Smell it for information, Paul.
Let's go!
I do not need to be reminded of this boy.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
For a second.
Resetting.
It's going so well.
That's okay. Cut.
All right, we go.
Cut there.
Welcome back, everyone. HBO released a bunch of deleted scenes from Night of the Seven Kingdoms Season 1, and Ira Parker, the showrunner, has been talking a lot about Season 2, so we will break it all down. The very good news is that they're almost done filming Season 2, and it will release next year in 2027. HBO made a very big deal about designing Night of the Seven Kingdoms to be more like the original Game of Thrones series back in the earlier seasons when they were able to release new seasons every single year. The reason why House of the Dragon takes so much longer to make seasons is mostly because of the massive number of visual effects for dragons, other big battle scenes, locations. The budget of House of the Dragon is almost double the budget of Night of the Seven Kingdoms. That should give you an idea. This is also why the original Game of Thrones series started to take longer and longer to get seasons out in the final seasons, because the dragons got so much bigger and they were doing way more big battle scenes. But there are a ton of deleted scenes and bloopers here that HBO just released for Night of the Seven Kingdoms. They have released bloopers for Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon seasons before, but they were usually way more rare because the tone of both of those shows was usually way more serious and dark than Night of the Seven Kingdoms, which was written more to be a comedy. So they were actually like this behind the scenes on Night of the Seven Kingdoms when they were making the series all the time, joking around, having fun, breaking character, because they couldn't make it through scenes because they were laughing so hard.
An itchy asshole is beyond your abilities, my friend. Be gone, witch.
Even Ira Parker, the showrunner, said that he thought that some of the jokes might have gone a little too far and they had a little too much fun. That was mostly him referencing the Night of the Nine Kingdoms title card at the end of the finale. Like, maybe that was a little too far, but they were having a lot of fun with it. Everybody having flashbacks of them trying to top themselves with how gross they could be in the opening scenes of episodes early on. We will see if they continue to try and top that in Season 2. What gross thing are they going to do next? It looks like from a number of the deleted scenes and the times that they broke, it was mostly Dunk's scenes with Lionel Baratheon. They just had trouble making it through without laughing or breaking character. Both Peter Claffey, who plays Dunk, but mostly Daniel Ing, who plays Lionel Baratheon, because he was written to be so over the top this season, so it makes sense that they would be breaking most during his scenes. A lot of his moments, specifically Lionel Baratheon's, were either expanded or changed to give him moments that Lionel didn't have in the Hedge Knight book that they adapted for Season 1. I think mostly because they sensed that he was so good, like the character was just going so well, he and Dunk had so much chemistry, their scenes were so good, that they just doubled down on as much Lionel as the episodes could handle, which I think was the right call. Also because Lionel is not featured in either of the next two stories that they're adapting for Season 2 and Season 3, and I'm not expecting them to change enough things to bring him back just because they liked him so much during Season 1. There are a lot of things that they did change from the Hedge Knight book for their adaptation for Season 1, but all the changes were in service of setting up Dunk's character, explaining things in flashbacks, like some of the flashbacks were expanded in really big ways that you didn't see in the books. During the events of Season 2 and Season 3, Lionel Baratheon is back in Storm's End while Duncan and Aegon are in completely different parts of the realm. So it'll be way harder to include him in Season 2 and Season 3. Daniel Ng was also asked if he would be back for season 2, and his answer made it sound like he was trying to avoid spoilers to piss off HBO, and only said that he wasn't featured in the rest of the stories that George R. R. Martin had published so far, so he wasn't sure, he didn't expect to be back, but seemed optimistic that he would return at some point. So I do think that they will try to find a way to bring him back in the next couple of years, next couple of seasons, but just not in season 2 or season 3. There are only 2 stories after Book 3 that George R. R. Martin has talked about. The 4th story, what would be their season 4, is The She-Wolves of Winterfell, a House Stark succession crisis. I've talked about that recently a couple times. It's actually going to be really cool.
And winter is coming.
Then the 5th story is about Duncan Egg going to the town Penny Tree where Sir Arlen and his family were from. I also think that that's part of the reason why they added the Penny Tree story during Sir Arlen's flashback, the final flashback in episode 6. That wasn't a moment in the book. They added that for a couple reasons. One of them was also because of some scenes that Jaime has in Dance with Dragons in the books that wasn't on the actual show, the original Game of Thrones show. Sir Arlen's scene was meant to explain to the audience, to us, and to Dunk, once Dunk understands what the speech actually meant, like it takes him a while to figure out what Arlen meant, that the penny nailed into the tree was a promise that a knight meant to survive to see tomorrow, to return someday to take the penny down from the tree. And why Sir Arlen had not knighted Dunk sooner, because he was worried that he would die, because so many knights from his home, Penny Tree, died over the years, never to return to take their pennies down. So Sir Arlen didn't want Dunk to die, and it was his grief over the death of his nephew, Roger Penny Tree, the previous squire during the Blackfyre Rebellion, who they make it sound like Sir Arlen treated like more of a traditional type of squire, and Dunk became more like a son to him that he was much closer to over time. So the real message to Dunk, once he finally kind of realizes it, is that it wasn't that Sir Arlen didn't think that he wasn't worthy of being a knight, is that he wanted to keep him close and wanted to keep him safe and alive. Then eventually Dunk, realizing that, nails his penny to the elm tree at his campsite at Ashford in the idea that he plans to survive to come back and reclaim it someday, according to Sir Arlen's tradition. And thanks to Dexter Soul Ansel, who says that George R. R. Martin says that Dunk survives the events of the tragedy at Summerhall, Dunk survives at least into his 60s, possibly beyond that. So you have to picture very, very old man Dunk someday coming back to take his penny down from the elm tree at Ashford. But also now, because George R. R. Martin talked about his new Duncan Egg story set in the town of Penny Tree, that we could say that his speech from Sir Arlen about his hometown will be paid off when Dunk literally sees the actual Penny Tree in the town square where the town got its name from, and he'll see Sir Arlen's penny that he never came back to actually take down.
And that's why they call it the Penny Tree.
One of the other cool connections back to the original Game of Thrones series is that Sir Arlen's speech about the Penny Tree itself in the town Penny Tree is a reference to a Jaime Lannister moment on the original show, which they cut out. It was actually in the original books. What would have been season 5, possibly season 6, if they had been way more book accurate. During Dance with Dragons, Jaime has come to the town Penny Tree between House Blackwood and House Bracken because of a siege on Raventree Hall, the seat of House Blackwood, and while he's there, he asks about the history of the town Penny Tree and notices the actual Penny Tree itself with all the pennies nailed to it, and then wonders what the pennies mean. Sir Arlen's speech during Night of the Seven Kingdoms is meant to pay that off. So it's actually meant to be a deep cut for the books, not for the original Game of Thrones TV show. While Jaime is also in the town Penny Tree, he runs into Brienne of Tarth again, who asks for his help in saving Sansa Stark from the Hound, who at that time has not realized that it's the wrong daughter, and it's Arya Stark that survived, and it's Arya who was spotted with the Hound. That was also part of the larger Lady Stoneheart subplot that they cut out of the original show. The entire Tales of Duncan Egg were actually based on backstory and extra lore that George R. R. Martin created while he was trying to work out some Brienne of Tarth moments in the books, in the earlier books. She actually goes on the road and wants to hide her identity, so she uses Dunk's old armor and his coat of arms, the shield with the tree on it and the falling star, so that people won't recognize her because they don't remember Dunk's coat of arms. So part of the idea is that George R. R. Martin was trying to work out where she got the armor from, where Dunk's armor came from, and that led to him eventually expanding it into the Tales of Duncan Egg. That's kind of the joke about George R. R. Martin, is that he's working on a Song of Ice and Fire novels, and he'll come up with some little idea, and that'll take him off on some giant tangent, and he'll create a whole bunch of other books, like the Fire and Blood book that they're using to adapt for the House of the Dragon series was born in the same way. He was creating extra lore for House Targaryen as part of a Song of Ice and Fire novels, and it just turned into a whole big other thing that he just collected into a big book. Also, part of the reason why it's taking him so long to finish the Song of Ice and Fire is because he goes on these giant tangents.
A true knight always finishes a story.
He has already written 10 other stories, 10 other adventures about Duncan Egg that they have not published yet, just to give you an idea of how many tangents he's been on and why it's taken him so long to finish Winds of Winter. Oh, because he's busy writing all these other stories. But it kind of sounds like Season 5 would be that Penny Tree story where they go to the town Penny Tree. It is an actual place in Westeros, between the lands of House Blackwood and House Bracken, just north of Riverrun. It sits between two hills that are called the Mother's Teats. King Aegon IV, the really horny one, dubbed them Barba's Teats in honor of his mistress, Barba Bracken, who was the mother of Aegor Rivers, bitter still. A few years later, however, he renamed the hills for his new mistress, Melissa Blackwoods, while the Brackens still called them Barba's Teats. So the actual hills themselves that were named after different women's boobs, different mistresses' boobs, became more fuel for the feud between House Bracken and House Blackwood over time, fighting over land that looks like boobs. The other mistress that he renamed the hills for her boobs, Melissa Blackwood, also became the mother of Bloodraven, Brynden Rivers, and his sisters. So you have to picture Aegon just riding around the realm sleeping with every single woman that passed him by. But the Brackens, House Blackwood, are some of the mothers of the great bastards, Aegon IV's great bastards. All characters that we will meet in the present day of Night of the Seven Kingdoms eventually. Bloodraven is a big part of Book 3, which will be the events of Season 3. That'll actually get into the events of the second Blackfyre Rebellion. Aegor Rivers sits that one out bitter still, but he is heavily involved in the third Blackfyre Rebellion several years after that. They might wind up using that for Night of the Seven Kingdoms Season 7 if they go 7, 8 seasons. We will see. Ira Parker, because those extra stories, has at least enough material for 13 seasons, so I am hoping that he's able to do all 13 at some point. Because they're about to finish filming Season 2 pretty soon, we'll probably get a trailer for this, more actual footage in the next couple of months, maybe like a teaser, and then like a full big trailer later this year. Whatever they do wind up releasing, of course I will do videos for it. They will also probably be promoting it while House of the Dragon episodes are running too. Everybody post all your reactions in the comments below and all your predictions for Season 2. I just did a much bigger Season 2 video. Click here for that, and click here for my House of the Dragon Season 3 trailer. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.